Stop before that peel hits the trash. You're about to throw away nutrients you'd otherwise drive to the store and pay $18 to buy back in a bottle. 20 years testing this in real backyards, not what sounds good on a seed packet, what actually grows bigger tomatoes. The biggest mistake I see, gardeners rinse free plant food down the drain, then buy it back in liquid form. Proof this isn't just a kitchen hack. Number 6 comes from a real peer-reviewed field trial, 26% yield increase. I'll show you how to replicate it in a mason jar tonight. Number 2, the scrap almost everyone composts wrong, meaning they're getting a fraction of what it's worth. 9 scraps, $0, stick around. Number 1, banana peels. You're probably eating one right now, and you're about to toss the peel, the part doing more work than half your fertilizer shelf. Here's the situation: roses that bloom weak, tomatoes that flower but don't fruit, houseplants that look tired no matter what you do. The fix has been sitting in your fruit bowl the whole time. Banana peels are loaded with calcium, magnesium, sulfur, phosphorus, potassium. Calcium grows roots, magnesium powers photosynthesis, sulfur fights pests, phosphorus feeds flowers and fruit, potassium keeps the whole plant disease-resistant. 5 nutrients, 5 systems, all in something you were about to landfill. 3 ways to use it, pick based on your patience. Fast, chop the peels, drop them in water, steep 2 to 3 days, stir occasionally, strain. Use that water to feed your plants. Boost it with crushed eggshells, more on those in a minute. Slow release, dry the peels in the sun or a low oven. Bury the dried pieces or grind them into powder and mix into potting soil. Orchids, staghorn ferns, bromeliads love this. They only need feeding every few months. Lazy and honestly, right for most people, cut the peel into pieces, bury it a few inches deep at the base of the plant. Don't disturb the roots. Don't overthink placement. You don't need a science degree to bury a banana peel. The real mistake, leaving whole peels on top of the soil. They attract fruit flies, take forever to break down, and half the nutrients evaporate before your plant ever sees them. Chopped and buried, or steeped and strained. That's it. One caution: banana peels won't save a plant dying from overwatering or root rot. This is a boost, not a resurrection. Structural problem: more calcium won't fix drainage. Use this on a plant that's alive but underwhelming, not one already circling the drain. Bonus: that same steeped liquid in a spray bottle, misted on leaves and stems, helps deter aphids. 1 peel, 2 products off the shelf. Next, the scrap almost everyone composts wrong. Number 2, coffee grounds. Here's the mistake I promised you. Millions of people already do the right thing, save their grounds instead of trashing them, then dump the whole pot in one thick layer around their favorite plant. Weeks later, that plant looks worse. Not because coffee grounds are bad, because almost nobody uses them right. The difference between helping your garden and quietly stunting it comes down to one thing: ratio. As coffee grounds break down, they release nitrogen, the nutrient behind healthy green growth, plus potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc. They also improve soil structure. Coarse texture aerates compacted soil, so water and nutrients actually reach the roots instead of pooling. Already composting, grounds sustain the heat that speeds decomposition. That nitrogen feeds the microbes doing the work. Here's where people go wrong. Fresh grounds are more acidic and higher in caffeine than you'd think. Caffeine suppresses competing plants, so a thick layer can inhibit seed germination and stunt the plant you're trying to help. Worse, a pile of grounds left on the surface dries into a hard, water-resistant crust. It blocks water and fertilizer from ever reaching the roots. You didn't feed your plant. You built a lid on it. The fix is proportion, not avoidance. Keep coffee grounds under 20% of any soil mix. Work them into the top layer, don't leave them sitting on the surface. Or dilute into a liquid feed, 2 cups of grounds, steeped overnight in 5 gallons of water. Save heavy applications for acid lovers, blueberries, azaleas, hydrangeas, roses, camellias. Light sprinkling only for compacted clay beds or basic containers. One limit: not every plant wants this. Cacti, succulents, anything dry and alkaline, asparagus, lavender, rosemary, skip it. And tomatoes, genuinely inconclusive. Don't assume it's universal just because it worked on your roses. Already saving your scraps instead of trashing them, you're exactly who this list is for. 7 more are coming. Number 4 is the one people are most afraid to use, and it's actually one of the safest. Number 3, eggshells. If you've grown tomatoes, you know the fear. Check the plant one morning, a soft, sunken, dark patch on an otherwise perfect fruit. Blossom end rot. Most people blame watering or bad luck. It's usually a calcium deficiency, and you've been rinsing the fix down the sink every time you crack an egg. Eggshells are roughly 40% calcium carbonate, plus nitrogen and magnesium, 17 different elements total. One of the most complete soil supplements sitting in your kitchen for free. That calcium is exactly what prevents blossom end rot in tomatoes and zucchini, the crops every home gardener struggles with. Here's the trap. Whole eggshells tossed straight into the garden are basically inert. The nutrients are locked inside a structure your plants can't break down. People bury whole shells and wonder why nothing changed. Wash the shells first. A few minutes in the oven or seconds in the microwave kills off bacteria like salmonella, then crush them. Mortar and pestle, blender, coffee grinder, all work. Finer crush, faster the calcium becomes available. You're breaking the barrier that was locking it away. A teaspoon per plant worked into the soil prevents blossom end rot before it starts. Bonus, sharp, jagged shell fragments deter slugs and snails. Same material, 2 problems solved. One real caution, don't bury eggshells around root vegetables, carrots, potatoes. Risk of contaminating the vegetable with residual bacteria. Surface application or compost only there. Save direct burial for tomatoes, peppers, fruiting plants above ground. Want to combine this with item 1, crushed eggshells boost that banana peel liquid feed, 2 scraps, 1 stronger fertilizer. Next, the one people are genuinely afraid to put near their garden, convinced it'll kill their compost, murder their worms, wreck their soil. The research says otherwise. Not close. Number 4, citrus peels. You're about to drop an orange peel in the compost bin, someone stops you. Not citrus, it kills the worms. Or it wrecks your pH, or it takes forever to break down. I've heard all 3 for years from well-meaning gardeners. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The science says drop it in. That no citrus rule didn't start in backyard composting. It started in commercial worm farming. Red wiggler worms, packed tight in a small bin, are genuinely sensitive to d-limonene, the oil giving citrus its smell, because a worm bin can't dilute concentrated citrus oil the way an open outdoor pile can. That narrow warning got copied, telephone style, into general advice where it never applied. Every major university extension that's tested this on standard backyard piles lands on the same answer. Regular compost handles citrus fine. Check the myths against the data. Worms in an open pile relocate to cooler edges for a week or 2 while d-limonene releases, then come back. They don't die, they just move. Only a real concern above roughly 10% citrus by weight. On pH, fresh peel sits acidic, 2.5 to 4.5. But finished compost with citrus in it tests neutral to slightly alkaline, 6.5 to 7.5. Microbial breakdown consumes the acidity as it decomposes. On speed, whole rinds take 6 to 9 months in a cold pile. That's where citrus takes forever comes from. Cut into 1-inch pieces, 2 to 4 months. In a hot pile, 6 to 8 weeks. Cutting the peel is the single biggest accelerator, more surface area for microbes to work. Fastest method, chop peels into 1-inch pieces. Mix with carbon-rich browns, shredded cardboard, dry leaves, straw at roughly 2 to 1. Bury 4 to 6 inches into the center of the pile. Leave it on the surface and it dries out, takes 2 to 3 times longer. One place caution still applies. Your worm bins specifically. Keep citrus under 10% of total feed weight there. Send overflow to a regular outdoor pile. Everywhere else, this myth has kept good compost material out of bins for decades, for nothing. Next, the scrap almost nobody thinks to save at all. One of the fastest, laziest wins on this list. Number 5, tea leaves. Start saving these today, zero extra effort. You're already making the tea, already toss the bag or leaves once you're done. The only thing between you and a free nitrogen boost is walking 3 feet to a pot instead of the trash can. Tea leaves give soil an extra hit of nitrogen when spread on the surface, a win for fast-growing plants constantly building new foliage, leafy greens, herbs, anything in active growth. Worms are genuinely drawn to tea leaves too. Where worms go, aeration, drainage, and water retention improve. You're not just feeding the plant directly, you're feeding the soil biology that keeps feeding it long after the leaves are gone. Here's the trap. If you're tossing in the tea bag itself, not just loose leaves, check what it's made of. Only 100% natural, compostable fiber bags belong in soil. A lot of modern tea bags are sealed with a thin layer of plastic that never fully breaks down, it just fragments into your garden bed over years. Not sure what your bag's made of? Tear it open, spread only the leaves, and bin the bag. Application: sprinkle used, cooled tea leaves on the soil surface at the base of the plant. No steeping, no ratio, no weight. If you drink tea daily, this is the lowest effort item on the list, costs nothing beyond redirecting where the leaves land. One limit: this is a boost, not a complete fertilizer. Nitrogen top-up and soil biology assist, not the full nutrient spread banana peels or eggshells give. A daily habit that compounds over a season, not a single fix. And like coffee grounds, don't let it pile up thick and wet. Spread thin. Made it this far, you're already mentally sorting your kitchen trash into garden and actual garbage. That's the shift. Next, 2 you've probably been throwing away because you thought they'd hurt your garden, when the truth is the opposite. Number 6. Homemade fermented fertilizer tea, the one backed by real data. This is the one I promised at the start. Slow down here, because unlike everything else on this list, this isn't tradition or gardening lore. It's an actual peer-reviewed field trial, published in 2026 in Frontiers in Horticulture, testing a homemade fertilizer against commercial organic fertilizers on real cherry tomato plants over a full growing season. The homemade version didn't just hold its own. It matched or beat the commercial products. What the researchers built: soybean meal, mashed ripe banana, whole eggs, molasses, water, fermented in a covered container for about 3 weeks, stirred every few days. No lab equipment, no proprietary blend, no trip to the garden center. Against a water-only control and 2 commercial organic fertilizers, the homemade brew produced significantly higher yields than plain water, 1.8 kilograms per plant, 30.1 tons per hectare, a 26% yield increase over water, statistically tied with the commercial products that cost real money. It also boosted soluble solids, better fruit taste, while keeping nitrate levels safely in range. Bigger fruit, sweeter fruit, no food safety trade-off. Build your own version: a scoop of soybean meal or crushed legumes, a mashed overripe banana, a cracked egg, a tablespoon of molasses, a jar of water. Cover loosely, keep it shaded, stir every couple days for 2 to 3 weeks while it ferments. Once broken down, dilute before applying. Undiluted ferment can burn roots. Cut it with water until it's a light tea color. Apply to the root zone about once a week. Honest caveat: the study ran at a single site, 1 growing season, in northern Vietnam, on 1 tomato cultivar. Researchers didn't chemically analyze the brew's exact nutrient makeup. Treat this as strong evidence the approach works, not a guarantee of identical results in your climate, your soil, your zucchini. 3 left, and they solve problems you didn't know your scraps could fix, including the one sitting in your pasta pot right now. Number 7. Onion and garlic skins. Almost everyone throws these away without a second thought. Nothing about a dry, papery onion skin screams nutrient-rich. This one earns its spot for a different reason than everything else on the list. It's not about feeding your plants, it's about defending them. Onion and garlic scattered around your garden ward off common pests, hedgehogs, mice, rats, put off by the sharp sulfur compounds these plants are known for. Got a spot where something keeps digging or nibbling and you can't catch it in the act? This is the simplest fix available. Costs nothing beyond not throwing the skins away. Application: apply small pieces directly to the soil in the trouble spot. Don't blanket the whole garden, target it. Refresh as the pieces dry out and the scent fades. It's the smell doing the work. Dried out skins sitting there for weeks aren't doing much. Honest limit, this is a deterrent, not a fortress. It can make an area less appealing to some pests. It won't stop a determined animal that's already decided your garden's worth the trouble, and it won't solve an infestation. One layer in a broader strategy. Pair it with real fencing or barriers for anything persistent, like rabbits or deer. One more thing, keep this away from areas where you rely on bees for pollination. The same scent that repels pests can repel them too. Use it in problem zones, not across your flowering vegetables. 2 scraps left. One of them, you're currently pouring straight down the drain every time you cook. For free nutrients, you're paying your water utility to wash away. Number 8, cooking water. This one's going to bother you a little. You've done it thousands of times without thinking twice. Boil vegetables, boil eggs, boil pasta. Then walk the pot straight to the sink and pour every drop down the drain. That water isn't just water anymore. It's carrying nutrients your food releases while cooking, and you've been sending them to the sewer instead of your garden bed. Water left over from boiling vegetables and eggs is rich in nutrients leached out during cooking, minerals, trace elements, and with egg water, a little of that same calcium from earlier. Using it does 2 things at once. Saves water, since you're not running a fresh hose or watering can, and delivers a mild nutrient boost you were about to throw away for free. One non-negotiable rule, temperature. Let the water cool completely to room temperature before it touches a plant. Boiling or even warm water on roots will scald and kill them almost instantly. Not a small caution, it's the difference between feeding your plant and cooking it. Once cool, treat it like normal water. Apply at the base, root zone first. One exception that matters, skip this entirely for salted water. Salted pasta water, salted vegetable water, none of it belongs near your soil. Salt builds up in soil over repeated applications, damages root systems, disrupts water uptake. If you cook with salt, most people do, set aside a portion before salting or skip salting that batch. Beyond that one rule, this is close to a zero-effort win. No routine change, no spending, just redirecting a pot of water that was headed for the drain into a watering can instead. One left, and it's the scrap most home gardeners have never even considered, because it doesn't come from produce at all. Number 9, fish heads and frames. Ending with the one that surprises almost everyone, it's not a fruit peel or a vegetable trimming. It's the part of dinner that never makes the plate. Fish, or buy whole fish and only use the fillets. You're sitting on one of the most potent garden inputs on this list. Most people bin it without a second thought. Fish heads and frames are a genuinely powerful source of nitrogen. Bury them, and they can noticeably speed up plant growth nearby. Not a folk remedy for no reason, it's the same logic behind commercial fish emulsion fertilizer. You're skipping the processing, going straight to the source, for free, instead of paying for a bottled version at the garden center. One hard rule, not optional, bury it. Fish scraps left on the surface attract pests almost immediately, not just raccoons or neighborhood cats, but exactly the kind of digging, foraging activity that undoes everything else in your garden. Dig deep enough that nothing can smell it or dig it up. Place it near the root zone of whatever you're boosting. Let it break down before planting directly on top. Fresh fish decomposing against tender roots can overwhelm a new plant. Don't fish yourself, doesn't matter. Fishing communities generate more heads and frames than they know what to do with. Connect with a local angler or fish market willing to give away trimmings, and this becomes a free, recurring source of high-nitrogen fertilizer every time they clean a catch. One caution to close on, this is a strong input, not a gentle one. So nitrogen-rich it's easy to overdo. Too much pushes a plant toward leafy growth at the expense of flowers and fruit. Use it sparingly. Bury it deep. Give it time. Not a scrap you sprinkle around casually like tea leaves or eggshells. Quick honesty check. No affiliate links pointing you to a fertilizer brand that paid to be here. Nobody sent me a jug of plant food to mention. This list came from a kitchen counter and a garden bed, not a sponsorship deal. Same as always on this channel. That's why you can trust the specifics in every segment, instead of wondering which one was secretly an ad. Quick math, a basic bottle of liquid plant food runs $10 to $20. Most gardeners buy 2 or 3 different products a season, one for blooms, one for greenery, one for acid lovers. That's $30 to $60 a year every year for things you've been rinsing down the sink and tossing in the trash the whole time. 9 items, $0. One backed by an actual published field trial, 26% yield increase. That's not a hack. That's math you hadn't done yet. Made it this far, you're not the person who watched 30 seconds and closed the tab. You want a garden that costs less and produces more. This list was built for you. Think of one person right now, someone who complains every spring about the garden center bill, or someone already composting who doesn't know half of this. Send them this video. Not later, because what we covered today isn't a tip. It's a permanent shift in what you consider trash. Comment which of these 9 surprised you most, or which one you're trying tonight. Tell me exactly what to dig into next. Not subscribed? It's free, it's here every week, built for people who are paid for what their kitchen already gives them for free. See you in the next one.